Bang! What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Monday, August 30th, and we got plenty to talk about. It was a pretty exciting weekend, so I'm excited to dive into it. Before we get started, how are you guys doing today?
Doing well. How about you, CJ? Are you hanging in there despite the back and forth over under 48,000 for BTC?
Yeah, we're just having some nice consolidation here. We'll see what happens, but I think there is some bullish metrics to go over and some takeaways from last week to discuss. But I think some of the most interesting news is Solana getting into the three-digit territory, now over $100. So congrats to the Solana holders. And CeeLo up about like 100% today. I think over 130% just within the last couple hours here. So congrats to any CeeLo holders as well. But yeah, doing good to start the day.
Yeah, I agree.
Even with Bitcoin, being kind of weak, CJ, we're seeing some incredible strength in the altcoins. I think one thing that you've done a great job of pointing out last week was all the similarities we're seeing in these cup and handle patterns, and now we're seeing some starting to break out, like eGold, for instance. So I'm excited to see what charts you're looking at this week, and I think all things considered, this could be a very positive week for price action here.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to agree with you, Monty. And we're going to talk about a lot of those cup and handles, a more aggressive way to trade those, and a more conservative approach to trade those as well, depending on what kind of trader you are. But I do want to start by just taking a couple highlights from last week. So first of all, new all-time highs in supply held by long-term investors. After Tuesday, exchange flows have neutralized. Remember, we talked about those large inflows to exchanges. That's kind of neutralized now, so we're not really no longer bearish from that perspective. Hash rate continues to come back online. Difficulty adjusts, and Bitcoin miner revenue per hash declines as a result. 86% of addresses are now in profit, and the market bounced off of a state of profits. So pretty interesting that we're getting that all-time high continuing in long-term holders. I think it's bullish. And I also can't continue without mentioning that open interest, specifically in the call to put ratio, is about 2x and the highest it's been since December of 2020. And December of 2020 was a really good month. I think we did about 50% in that month. And that was actually a period of time where a lot of the technicians were calling for, a pullback to 15K when we were at 20, saying, oh, look, the RSI, we're seeing divergences, but Bitcoin didn't care. I mean, it just climbed higher up all the way until, 40K and then 60. But before I talk too much further, what are you guys thinking?
Well, I'm going to point out something that I think contributes to some of the weakness in all the coins except Solana. And that is that CoinMarketCap is down. So you can get the actual price at CoinMarketCap, but you can't get most of the data. Most of the data that I pull from there, guys, and I've tried several coins. I just tried Bitcoin, the biggest. Let me try Ethereum. It will give me the price of Ethereum, 3184 and 07, but I can't get any charts. I can't get market cap. New data. I can only get the price that Ethereum's trading for right now. So the only reason I point this out, it's like, oh, poor John, he doesn't get data. When you're as addicted to data as I am, and as I think a lot of our friends are, guys, and this is one of the most popular sites for data. Yeah, you can still get an Ethereum chart if you go to another charting spot, but a lot of folks that go to CoinMarketCap are probably frustrated this morning because they're not getting data. They're really just getting price, but no underlying data beyond just the price that it's trading at that moment in time. And anytime something like that happens, it doesn't mean that people sell, but it certainly doesn't encourage buying. So I'm just pointing that out as a reason that we could be seeing some softness here in some of these coins. But like I say, one of the lone standouts, you nailed it, Solana, which is up over 100 and looking very impressive today.
Looks like we got some other data addicts in the chat as well, John. So you're not alone there. Maybe you guys can form some sort of support group.
Support group, yeah.
But John, I want to pose a question to you here because, CJ, I think you made a great point talking about open interest. For me, that's a great gauge of, institutional interest as well. And you talked about December as kind of a comparable time frame. I'd agree because we're seeing very similar open interest rates. John, in your kind of circles, I know you talk with a lot of, financial people. Is that something that you're seeing as well, just, anecdotally, kind of an increase in interest in, Bitcoin related funds and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. I remembered seeing, and granted, this data is a little like all the data that any of us get about 13D filings and things like that. Those are, of course, filings by large holders of stock. How much did they change their position? And I always look for, what did, for instance, Lone Pine do? What did Kathy Woods do? Kathy's pretty public, so she might even come out before, the 13D filings and so forth. But those filings, as you two know, and I think most of you listeners and viewers know, are a look back at what has happened, not a present post as in today, Lone Pine bought or sold. That said, Morgan Stanley bought a ton of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, just a ton in multiple of their funds. They have funds that range from a couple billion on up into the double-digit billions of dollars. And they bought, I think, about $250 million or more of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC. And so that is, sadly, one of the ways that people that want exposure to Bitcoin that can't put it into a fund, and there is no ETF, a lot of those people pile into the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And at times, that trust has been at a real premium to the markets. And at times, believe it or not, for these two guys know, but a lot of times it's also been at a discount, which tends to be because, it's a difficult arbitrage. It's not like you're buying that Bitcoin Grayscale Trust and trying to sell coin against it, because like I said, it goes above and below on a pretty regular basis. And for the longest time, it was above, trading significantly above the spot price of Bitcoin. Well, the reason I'm bringing it up now and the reason I talk about that look back is that by the end of June, that's when this filing was, when Morgan Stanley bought all of this, made this big investment in the Bitcoin Trust. Pull up your charts on whatever service other than CoinMarketCap, and you'll see that they were getting in at right around 30K for Bitcoin, which means that they're up substantially, $18,000 as of this morning for most of that. Now, some of it could have been purchased at 31, 33, whatever. Some of it could have been purchased below there because the cutoff was June, the end of June. But nonetheless, there had to be a fairly significant portion of this, given that it was the biggest investment we've seen by Morgan into this. So to your point, Monty, long-winded explanation, but to your point, yes, we are seeing more and more people investing through various vehicles into digital assets.
And that's definitely going to be the key to, driving us to new all-time highs. So I'm very reassured to hear that as well. But CJ, last week we talked a lot about some interesting, formations that we're seeing across the board in a lot of altcoins. And I want to kind of tee you off here by starting with this chart here, because this to me is one that is kind of breaking out of a formation that you've been highlighting, all week, and that we're seeing across the board in many altcoin assets. So you want to dive into your sort of cup and handle theory that you're looking at right now?
Yes, I'd love to. And there are two ways to trade this, as I mentioned previously, based on how aggressive you want to be and where you see the market. But one of the ones that is pretty interesting, actually, is XLM. There hasn't really been a cause for this one to go parabolic yet, but I just want to use it for kind of a technical example. So the more aggressive way to trade these cup and handle patterns is by just drawing a descending trend line and connecting it, really where those candle body tops have closed, and then, creating that trend of that handle downwards. And so when price, or if price, breaks out to the upside, that can trigger an entry to look for, potential continuation up into new highs. Because in many cases of a lot of these alts, we really never formed that much of sufficient support up there at our initial parabolic run. So that's the more aggressive way to trade it, is to trade it with a breakout of the descending trend line. But if you go to a more conservative example like EGLD, and again, this is not completely perfect. This is not that round of a bottom, more of a double bottom with a U-shaped or a W-shaped. But you can also wait for a completion or a close above the top of the cup. That would be the more conservative approach if you wanted to wait for that breakout. So I would like to trade this with a close above that level today. I think this typically leads to a lot of bullish continuation in many various altcoins. And if you just go through the list, like there's a lot of alts showing very similar strength like this. Serum is one of them that's already kind of confirmed that conservative type breakout entry with a breakout above the cup and handle. Band is another one within the Solana ecosystem that has not yet broken out, but could potentially be on its way if we see some more strength. Some of the NFT plays that I'm not necessarily going to pick for Doge of the day, but might be worth a shot, or at least a look at, are Engine and Chili's. Those have been trending kind of quietly, but may continue to the upside. The one that I really am interested in is an NFT play with registering or licensing music. And this is an asset in the Solana ecosystem. I guess I am jumping ahead to my Doge of the day now. But Audius, or Audio, is a music licensing platform for NFTs. And it hasn't quite gone yet, but it's very close to making a new all-time high and may follow some of the other assets in the Solana ecosystem, such as Serum and some others that have formed that cup and handle. So I would definitely watch for a breakout from these levels and go ahead and draw that kind of descending trend line, because it is very close to kind of a further and continued breakout. But before I get too further ahead of myself again, I'll pass it back to you guys.
No, that was good stuff, CJ. And I think, you jumped right into the Doges of the day, which is exciting because I do think there are going to be plenty of opportunities this week, as I keep saying. So, Doc, do you have a Doge of the day for us today as well?
Well, I don't really. I am watching Ethereum here because the range has been interesting today, but without all the data that I want, Monty, I am not adding to Ethereum right here. But that's the one that I'm watching, and I would have made a Doge of the day if I could get more readings on the volumes that are trading in there. But it's on the lower end of its range for the day right now. So around 3,100, I was looking at trying to buy some more. It got down to 3,151, and then had the move up to 3,258. But then all of a sudden, like I say, my data source failed me. So now I've got to tap into a different data source. So no Doge of the day for me today.
It looks like CoinGecko is still up and running. That's kind of one of the alternative competitors to CoinMarketCap. But yeah, Monty, before we go into your Doge, would you like to discuss like Bitcoin and the charts? I feel like this episode's getting a little jumbled in terms of organization. But
that's a good point. We didn't talk about Bitcoin today, but I mean, it is kind of not all that exciting today. But if you have some stuff to say, I think go ahead and pull up those charts.
Yeah, I just want to make a couple brief points in comparison to what we saw in December of 2020, because it actually is looking pretty similar in terms of the Bitcoin chart. And the reason why I say we're looking to compare it to December of 2020 is because that's the last time which we had this call to put ratio being so high. literally 2x the amount of calls to puts in the actual market right now. And so if we look at what happened in this period of December, we really had a bearish divergence in the RSI. And I remember this period very distinctly because a lot of technicians were calling for a pullback because we had made an extraordinary run that we hadn't seen before. I mean, all throughout November, we had gone from about 11K all the way up to almost a recent high. And I remember a lot of analysts saying, we have to pull back to 15K. Like we just went straight from 10K to 20K, like everything's overbought. Look at the negative bearish divergence on the RSI. But this is where a lot of the technicians got it wrong. And, those options traders who were still bullish rode this wave. And throughout the next month, we rallied another 100% all the way up to 40K. So you have to ask yourself, we are concerned a little bit about this bearish divergence that's occurring now, but you have to wonder, is this kind of lining up as a similar instance of accumulation that what we saw in kind of December? So just a thought that I had there that I wanted to share, because I think that the options traders in this market may be giving us clues to where price is going to head next. Also, last thing I'll say, aside from the charts, is just long-term holders reaching an all-time high, holding 12 million coins in total. And then when you obviously that's over 60% of the supply. But then when you consider the fact that there's a lot of coins lost, probably 4 to 6 million coins burned in estimate, that puts the long-term holders in control of 80% of the supply. So I think that's incredibly bullish currently. And I think we have some interesting stuff to figure out on the road ahead here.
Yeah, absolutely, CJ. I think that the next 3 months are going to be very exciting because of those factors you just mentioned. And we talk about, the supply and demand mechanics of this all the time, but that is something that is often overlooked, that, a large majority of Bitcoin is locked up by these long-term holders that, have their Bitcoin in a cold storage wallet that's in a safe that's never going to hit the open market. These guys are, diamond hands hodlers. So really, if you think about it, there's not all that much circulating supply. So yeah, great point. Well put. But my Doge of the day today, I will wrap it up quickly here. I am looking at Polygon today, Matic. So let me pull up the chart here. And the reason I'm doing that is largely because of the cup and handle formation that we're seeing across the board. But also one thing I noticed in those sort of cup and handle patterns is often, well, CJ talked about it, there's the conservative approach where you wait for a break above the cup line, but also the more risky approach, what we tend to see is a bounce off this 20-period smooth moving average. And as you can see right now, Matic is kind of retesting this level here. Also, from a fundamental perspective, Solana today, we mentioned it, but this thing is absolutely ripping. And same with Cardano, not ripping today, but over the last couple of weeks has been a tremendous performer. And Matic has kind of, not really seen the same performance, even though it is, you could categorize it in the same category as Solana and Cardano. So I think that a bounce from this level with a bullish engulfing candle here, for me, would be indication to enter a trade. And then, if we break above this cup line here, I'd actually consider adding to the trade and riding this one to previous all-time highs. So that is my Doge of the day today, Matic.
Well, keep in mind, folks, that the Voyager sponsorship of this program, to a large extent, depends on you. If you like this show being presented without cost to you, Voyager is how that happens. And they have a token, of course, the VGX token. They also have a publicly traded stock. And if you open an account with Voyager Digital to trade 60 plus digital assets, you can do that for no commission. And if you type in under the promo code REBEL25, they will give you $25 in Bitcoin for signing up. So that's REBEL25 when you open your Voyager Digital account. A lot of you started doing that aggressively last week after that hack over at Coinbase. And I would encourage those of you who did not yet to check out Voyager, because I love it. It's the platform I trade on. And I think the fact that they pay you double digits on some of these deposited cryptos is yet another reason to open a Voyager account.
Absolutely. And as always, if you want to come hang out with CJ and I, we are in the crypto room 24/7, and you can try it for just $1 for the first month at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. It's almost the end of August, which means it's almost September, which means it's almost time for Crypto Room 2.0. We got a ton of big upgrades coming. It's going to be really awesome. Really looking forward to that. So definitely, check out the room if you haven't already. We got pro charting service, 24/7 chat, actionable trade insights with entries, exits, stop losses, and a whole lot more. And we'd love to have you there. So definitely head over there and check that out. But that's about all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And we will be back again tomorrow with another Daily Crypto Byte. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.